They think you are standing still. They think you have accepted your position. They think you are not ambitious enough to become a threat. So they speak carelessly around you. They reveal their plans. They underestimate your discipline. And while they are celebrating victories that everyone can see, you are building an advantage no one can measure. The most dangerous competitor is not always the loudest person in the room. It is the person nobody realizes is competing. The person who does not announce every ambition, who does not react to every insult, who does not expose every move before it is complete. Niccolò Machiavelli studied rulers who survived in environments filled with betrayal, rivalry, and sudden changes of fortune. In The Prince, he examined not the world as people wished it to be, but power as it actually operated. This video applies those political observations to modern careers, business, reputation, and self-mastery. Not to deceive innocent people, not to destroy rivals, but to stop advertising your strategy to those who may obstruct it. By the end, you will understand 7 rules for advancing quietly, controlling what others can predict, and winning before your competition recognizes that the game has changed. Subscribe to Power and Strategy if you want timeless lessons about psychology, influence, and human behavior transformed into practical systems for modern life. Rule 1. Never announce the position you have not yet secured. An exposed ambition attracts resistance. The moment you announce where you are going, people begin deciding whether your arrival threatens them. Some will laugh. Some will discourage you. Others will quietly prepare to block you. Machiavelli repeatedly distinguished between acquiring power and preserving it. A position that has not yet been secured remains vulnerable. Modern interpretation. Do not behave as though an unfinished plan is already a victory. Imagine a workplace where you want a leadership role. You tell everyone you are preparing to become the next manager. Now the current manager watches you differently. A dishonest co-worker begins collecting your mistakes. Another colleague presents your ideas before you can develop them. Your ambition has become public information. The common mistake is confusing declaration with progress. Talking about the goal produces emotional satisfaction, but it can also expose the root. The strategic response is simple. Share according to necessity, not excitement. When questioned, say, "I'm focused on improving my contribution and preparing for greater responsibility." That sentence reveals direction without exposing your entire plan. Write your private objective. List the skills, relationships, and measurable results required. Then build them quietly. Machiavelli understood that appearances influence how others respond. Let people see consistency. They do not need to see the full architecture behind it. Your ambition does not need applause. It needs protection. Write "move in silence" in the comments if you understand. But silence alone is not enough. You must also control what your rivals believe deserves their attention. Rule 2. Let them compete for the wrong prize. Many people lose because they fight over visible symbols while ignoring real leverage. Titles. Attention. Credit. Proximity to powerful people. Public praise. These prizes look like power, but they are often only decorations surrounding it. In The Prince, Machiavelli warned rulers against depending on borrowed forces. Mercenaries and auxiliary troops appeared useful, but they did not create reliable, independent strength. The modern lesson is clear. Do not confuse borrowed status with personal capability. Suppose 2 entrepreneurs operate in the same industry. One competes for followers, photographs, and invitations. The other quietly builds customer relationships, distribution channels, and recurring revenue. Publicly, the first appears stronger. Privately, the second is becoming difficult to replace. The common mistake is chasing whatever produces immediate recognition. The strategic response is to ask, what remains valuable when the applause disappears? Build assets others cannot easily remove. A rare skill. A trusted reputation. Savings. Direct customer access. Documented results. Independent knowledge. Subscribe to Power and Strategy if this is changing the way you measure success. Here, we separate visible status from durable power. Your specific action is to identify one prize people around you are competing to display. Then, identify the hidden asset beneath it. Stop fighting over the symbol. Build the source. Because once you possess the source, the symbol often follows without pursuit. And this leads to the third rule, where most people expose themselves through emotion. Rule 3. Never reveal your competitive position through reaction. Provocation is often reconnaissance. An insult may not be designed merely to hurt you. It may be designed to measure you. What makes you defensive? What are you afraid of losing? How quickly can you be pushed into a mistake? Machiavelli's famous lion and fox principle appears in chapter 18 of The Prince. The lion represents strength, but strength alone cannot detect traps. The fox recognizes the snare. In modern life, emotional control is part of recognizing the snare. A coworker says, "You probably aren't experienced enough to handle that project." You immediately defend your qualifications, reveal your plans, and list every resource available to you. They now know exactly what you are preparing. The common mistake is trying to defeat disrespect in the moment. The strategic response is to separate the statement from the objective behind it. Pause. Ask, what makes you say that? Now they must provide evidence or expose the emptiness of the provocation. Document important workplace incidents. Correct false information calmly, but do not surrender intelligence merely to satisfy your ego. Machiavelli's fox does not attack every sound in the forest. It studies where the sound came from. Your action is to establish a reaction delay. When provoked, take one breath before speaking. In writing, wait before responding unless the situation is urgent. Calmness does not mean weakness. It means the other person cannot use your emotions as a map. Comment, "I control my response" below. But controlling reactions protects only today. The next rule determines whether your advantage survives tomorrow. Rule 4. Build strength that does not require their permission. Dependency makes your strategy visible. When one person controls your income, access, approval, or opportunities, they can predict what you will tolerate. They know you cannot easily leave. And what cannot leave can often be pressured. Machiavelli distrusted power built on the forces of others because loyalty borrowed from necessity could disappear when circumstances changed. This is not a command to distrust everyone. It is a warning against having no alternative. Imagine an unreliable client who provides most of your business income. They delay payments, expand the workload, and demand immediate attention. You continue accepting it because losing them would damage your finances. The common mistake is attempting to negotiate confidently while remaining completely dependent. The strategic response begins before the negotiation. Reduce the dependency. Acquire another client. Build emergency savings. Strengthen a transferable skill. Create a second route to opportunity. Then establish a boundary. To continue under the current scope, we'll need revised terms and a confirmed payment schedule. The sentence becomes credible because you have prepared for the possibility of walking away. Machiavelli connected survival with independent capacity. In modern life, your own arms are your skills, resources, records, relationships, and alternatives. Subscribe to Power and Strategy for practical lessons that turn strategic independence into daily action. Choose one dependency currently weakening your decisions. Reduce it by 10% this month. Freedom rarely arrives in one dramatic moment. It is constructed through alternatives. Yet even independent people can lose by showing their hand too early. Rule 5. Allow results to arrive before explanations. The unfinished move invites interference. The completed result forces adjustment. Many people spend more energy explaining what they intend to create than creating it. They announce the business before securing customers. They reveal the negotiation before signing the agreement. They display the transformation while it is still fragile. Machiavelli emphasized preparation before fortune changes. In chapter 25, he compared fortune to destructive forces that can be resisted when defenses are built during calmer times. The modern application is not secrecy for its own sake. It is preparation before exposure. Consider someone rebuilding after financial failure. They tell relatives about every new plan. Each person offers warnings, criticism, and conflicting advice. The rebuilding process becomes a public debate. The common mistake is giving observers voting rights over an outcome they will not build. The strategic response is to create proof before requesting belief. Pay down the first account. Complete the certification. Test the offer. Save the first emergency fund. Then speak from evidence. Use this sentence when pressured to explain prematurely. I'm still developing it. I'll share more when the structure is ready. That is not dishonesty. It is disciplined timing. Niccolo Machiavelli did not teach that fortune could be eliminated. He argued that preparation determines how much damage uncertainty can cause. Build the bridge before announcing where it leads. Drop proof before praise in the comments. And when the result finally appears, another danger emerges: the temptation to humiliate those who doubted you. Rule 6. Win without creating unnecessary enemies. A victory can become a future defeat when it creates hatred. You proved them wrong. Now your ego wants witnesses. You want the person who dismissed you to feel small. You want everyone to know who won. But public humiliation gives defeated people a new objective: revenge. In The Prince, Machiavelli treated hatred as a serious political danger. Although his subject was rulership, the modern lesson is useful. Strength should not create more opposition than necessary. Imagine winning a difficult business negotiation. The other party accepts your terms. Instead of closing professionally, you remind them how badly they misjudged you. You post about the victory. You turn a transaction into a personal defeat. The common mistake is believing a victory is incomplete until someone else feels defeated. The strategic response is to preserve the other person's dignity when possible. Say, "I'm glad we found terms that work. Let's focus on making the agreement successful." You secure the advantage without creating an emotional campaign against yourself. This does not mean accepting abuse or hiding wrongdoing. Serious misconduct should be documented and addressed through appropriate professional or legal channels. It means distinguishing protection from humiliation. Machiavelli understood that reputation shapes future alliances. People cooperate more easily with someone who can win without becoming reckless. Subscribe to Power and Strategy if you want to develop authority without surrendering self-command. Your victory should increase your options, not multiply your enemies. But one final rule decides whether quiet victories become lasting power. Rule 7. Change your pattern before they learn to predict it. Every successful strategy eventually becomes visible. People study what works. Competitors imitate it. Managers adjust to it. Friends, partners, and rivals learn your habits. A method that once gave you an advantage can become a cage when you refuse to change it. Machiavelli observed that people often prosper while their behavior matches the demands of the time, then fail when circumstances change but their behavior does not. That is one of the deepest lessons in The Prince. Imagine a leader known for patience and consensus. That approach works during stability. Then a crisis arrives. Decisions must be made quickly. The leader continues consulting endlessly because patience has become part of their identity. A former strength becomes hesitation. The common mistake is becoming emotionally loyal to the method that created your first victory. The strategic response is regular adaptation. Every month, ask 3 questions. What has changed? What is no longer working? What response does the current situation require from me? Sometimes the fox must detect the trap. Sometimes the lion must establish the boundary. Sometimes silence is strategic. Sometimes silence allows falsehood to spread and must be broken with evidence. Niccolo Machiavelli's larger principle was adaptability under changing fortune. Do not become predictable merely because your old pattern once succeeded. Comment, I adapt before I break. If you are ready to move with intelligence. Winning quietly does not mean living dishonestly. It means refusing to expose unfinished plans to unnecessary judgment. It means recognizing that attention is not the same as strength. That emotional reaction is not the same as courage. That dependence is not loyalty. That explanation is not progress. That humiliation is not victory. And that one successful method is not a permanent law. You no longer need everyone to know you are competing. You need to know what you are building. Protect the objective. Strengthen the foundation. Control the reaction. Reduce the dependency. Produce the evidence. Preserve your reputation. Adapt before circumstances force you to adapt. This is the transformation. From reactive to deliberate. From publicly ambitious to privately disciplined. From dependent on approval to governed by standards. From easy to provoke to difficult to read. From chasing visible victories to building lasting capability. Machiavelli studied political power in a dangerous historical world. Your arena may be a career, business, relationship, or personal reinvention. The context is different, but the strategic question remains. Are you building something real or merely performing ambition for an audience? Immediately after this video, write down one goal you have discussed more than you have developed. Beside it, write the next private action required. Then complete that action before announcing another intention. Write, "They will see the result" in the comments. Subscribe to Power and Strategy for more timeless lessons about power, psychology, discipline, and human behavior, transformed into practical systems for modern life. Share this video with someone who is learning to stop explaining every move. Move without noise. Prepare without applause. Win without hatred. And let the finished result reveal what silence was building. This is Power and Strategy, where self-command becomes influence and preparation becomes power.